All right, welcome back. This is next item on our Angular Bootcamp curriculum session. And so we're going to take a look at our repository and pick another branch.
Oh,
All right, so
I look at my branch.
let's see, we just did V8, and so moving in from there, let's see, wait, where'd that PT tweaks come from?
That was Lance's thing that's been sitting there for a bit.
So yeah, so this was also 2 weeks ago. We were able to take a look at Lance's version 8 changes, and it looks like he was able to clean this up to like just the ideas that we actually wanted to take.
So that you think that the latest commit is the final
So
cleanup?
there are
that
two
was
here.
mine.
Yes, PT tweaks is Lance's. NgRx effects extra ideas
But
is
me,
what Zachary added on
On
top
top of
of,
it, okay.
you,
of
you can
that.
borderline get rid of that branch.
What's
That was me
P2
trying to.
stand for in this case?
Portugal.
Oh, okay. All right.
So sorry, what are you saying about your branch?
My thing was I was trying to get rid of all the extra roundabout stuff we're doing, but one of Lance's examples, but it's just currently not possible with NgRx. So
We just need to delete
So
this
just
branch.
take-
yeah,
one.
we can go ahead and delete that branch.
All right, so let's delete that branch.
So, so we can delete that branch. We did delete
We
that
deleted,
branch.
we deleted that. So let's
Yeah,
go ahead and do
that
like a
doesn't
range diff of this PT tweaks back to master. I think this is probably good for just like a quick skim, and if we're okay with it, trying, pushing it. Actually, it's already been pushed for, so we'll already know if it passes CI/CD for linting and all that.
So Portugal, because this is stuff that Lance did in conjunction with his Portugal class,
Yeah.
Angular Bootcamp.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
if you're in Portugal and want to have an Angular Bootcamp, please let us know.
I think there's a newer version.
We are willing to travel to Portugal.
So
Absolutely.
he's thinking that there's a newer version. So let's
Okay.
There's
scan forward
There's
here.
a PT Tweaks 2.
Oh,
So this
There
must
you go.
have his.
ah,
All right.
So should I delete PT tweaks 1?
Yeah, and my branch too.
I deleted
We
your
already
branch,
killed
so
your
okay.
branch.
Yeah.
So I wonder what the reason was that PT Tweaks wasn't just updated with.
I
Never-
think he rebased because
we'll
master
never
moved
know.
on him.
yeah, he wanted to get on top
we
of
merged
something
some
and
stuff
master.
last week or last time.
Alright. Yeah.
Okay.
So we saw this.
So yeah, this is
This is
good.
really
This
nice.
is more,
This is good, yeah.
more true. Wait, go back to that previous commit or the previous file. Sorry. All right, the scroll bar. I thought it was longer. Go ahead. So yeah, this is like the new syntax where it's just all
Oh, that's
a
much
whole
shorter.
lot cleaner.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, that's great.
And then we left the other one as is. Cool.
If you had named initial positions, you could have cut off a few more characters.
All right. Yeah. So that was like
That's
the
great.
Yeah.
essence that was needed
Yeah.
to be captured. And it looks like
So if we
a lot of
verify
trim in
that
the diffs.
that was clean,
Yeah. So we need to go. That
Yeah.
this needs to be squashed and then rebased again.
I mean,
What was the other?
The code, or-
What was the TypeScript?
I'm
change?
saying is like go look at the Bitbucket where we can see that it got a clean.
Right.
Yeah.
And
What
then
is-
squash and rebase.
So we need to.
I didn't know if we'd actually looked at all the files that were different, but
So we want to look at Bitbucket.
Yeah,
and see if
there was
it-
way
Yeah.
more and we took some of it off.
So click over to commits, and then you can just like see that commit and see whether it had a clean build or not. So
Lance PT tweaks 2. There's a comment on it.
the comment, and it is so
It
it did
worked.
compile clean. Let's see the comment.
Hard to
Oh,
argue with that.
that was me. I liked the code apparently on the 30th, so I still do.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and squash that.
Did you know that you can do a rebase interactive on top of like a commit over here, and it will have the effect of both squashing your thing and putting it over there in one step?
yeah, I think this Git thing is really going to catch on.
It might, you know.
Fine, yeah.
It really might.
So you can replace this with just like the net sum of what was done rather than the.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure
Noise.
out. Simplify effect initialization.
Well, also that filter is used for multiple fields that you just deleted was probably a good comment to keep as well.
Remember to follow the Git formatting, blah blah.
And we might see Jack get hit by the new branch naming.
Yeah.
We didn't actually update anyone else here.
Well, let's see it happen. Then we'll
Go
over
ahead.
again.
Go ahead and
Yeah,
form up your
carry on as if unaware of the new Git branch naming rules.
branch naming, not commit naming. So
Branch
do
naming.
do your normal
Okay,
commit
I'm just
naming.
gonna give like some kind of summary here.
Definitely.
Of what's going on.
So this was all out of his effort to update effects to version 8 of NgRx.
Yeah.
Or use NgRx effects 8 most concisely. I don't know.
Yeah, that's more like it, because Chris did a lot of the work, but thanks.
She made it compatible and
Lance
like
brought it the rest of the way.
she made it compatible and like 95% concise,
Yeah.
and this made it that last 5% more
Pretty much.
concise. I'm just so thrilled with how they keep just iterating on that and make it like I remember like it was a huge amount of boilerplate when we started
Right.
using
Well,
it,
an emergent,
and now they
right?
just like keep chopping it down. Eventually, one line of code is
So
going to
go
do
ahead
everything.
and push it, because I'll do the actual like
Yeah,
merge, because I'll
that's
like
a branch
try
you can
and
push.
Yeah, I need. Oh wait, I need to make a branch somewhere else. I need to make a branch here.
What is the new branch naming convention?
I think they
Well,
want me to
let's see.
stumble over them.
Yeah, we shall see. Oh yeah, because you'll actually put it on master once it
yeah. So
Okay.
no, so now I'll try and push this.
innocently try and push it, as has worked forever.
Now they may have taken that back out with part of like they did. So
Was
the
it-
thing
was
that
it
we,
no.
the thing that you and I and who else was with us, Chris, ran into the other day, was also the same version of SourceTree that was like crashing anytime you tried to do anything.
Oh.
It's like I'm wondering if they accidentally pushed an experimental branch to master or something of SourceTree, but
Maybe.
that
Is
is
this-
now.
Is this fully updated SourceTree?
I watched them update
Yeah,
it.
I
Yeah.
just updated it today.
I was like,
So-
I pushed my branch.
So this wasn't something that you guys did. That you were
So-
just like
I
waiting.
thought you did on
for it
Bitbucket.
to
So for
to
our
stumble
viewers, you just watch last week's episode.
Yeah.
There's one about Git branch naming, but for those not here, do you want to summarize
Yeah,
it? or-
so that we tried to push branches with SourceTree. It works just fine from the command line, but in SourceTree, it was complaining about us not following like this naming convention for branch names that was out there. It's like we clicked on the link and it took us to this description of like what proper naming convention should be applied to your branch naming, and like you were supposed to have a slash in all of your branch names.
Oh, so
Wait,
you
what?
put them in a folder?
Yeah, so effectively you end up having like it's not okay to have branches that don't live inside of another directory. And so,
So it's
like,
kind of forcing Git flow.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, something like that. And so like, okay, well, like let's just give it a try at least for a while and see what happens. And so we came up with the idea that like, well, let's try and make it so that there are, if you scroll down over there, Jack, on your list of branches, like the idea was that there's going to be additions, which are like, here are new ideas to add to the curriculum. And what was the other one? Like, was it tweaks? Was that what it was? I don't remember. We
Sounds
actually
right.
haven't created the other directory yet. But the idea was like, here are diffs to the current thing versus
Except
here are new ideas that we're rolling in.
You're not creating a directory though,
Yeah, it's
right?
just-
It just infers the directory from
But
the
that
names
is
of
the
branches.
proper name that was in the doc describing the spec. Was that that these are referred to as directories.
Interesting.
And then SourceTree actually like shows them in a directory like structure.
Yeah, I knew that.
See, I posted it.
Right, that's why we have this. You can do this.
And so yeah, we're like,
accordion
okay, well let's just go ahead and go with that. Let's not tweak the default. Let's rise above it and just try it for a while and see what happens. But now something has changed and SourceTree is no longer enforcing that. So weird little history in time where this had all kinds of errors and weird behaviors that it just evaporated. But there's video proof from last week's episode of this time.
What happens if you're not using SourceTree?
It just works.
Nothing.
It works.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was
As God intended.
I was gonna say, like, I
So-
don't use SourceTree for a reason.
Oh, PT.
The
tweaks
actual
doing that.
change
Well, it's
is
just because we weren't trying to test pushing again.
Oh.
The man of the hour, Lance, has arrived.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lance Finney. I've joined the room.
so
Gesticulating it.
so this is a Git feature, I believe, that SourceTree picked up.
Yeah.
So I think at some point, the remote side, which in our case on this repo is Bitbucket, but would apply to all the other providers of managed services or local, your own custom installs, when Git gets upgraded, the default behavior with the server may in fact enforce that.
That'd be nice.
Maybe. So that would be
Would it
really
though?
interesting if that happens.
Well,
So-
I mean, I don't know.
So now in the absence of the requirement being enforced by SourceTree, do we still want to keep trying this idea?
I am game, but you're in charge of this bit of it, so.
I'd say let's just keep going with it. And so that would mean that we would push this to a, what did we say the other category was? Additions, and was it tweaks? Like,
I
did
don't
we
know.
use
I
the
don't
word
remember.
tweaks, or was it
Changes.
changes? I think it was changes. Additions and changes.
It was like, yeah, it was like working on adding new content versus like changes that instructors made in the process of teaching a class for the sake of reviewing together and deciding what to use to
So you
to
want me
roll
to push
back in.
that then instead?
So yeah, so it would be, or was it like class? Did we actually like use the word like class?
So we're talking about
See,
having
this is the problem that I have with it, right? Is that
Well,
you're going to come up with these names, and then all of the branches that contain these names are going to be deleted, and then somebody's going to come along and have to remember what the names were. Like, there's no
Yeah.
way to enforce a consistent value for those folder names.
You'd have to have a way. Well,
Placeholder.
You'd have to like.
So the Bitbucket folks, and I haven't looked at this admin screen in GitHub, but I'm guessing they're coming right along. These folks are all adding more capabilities to constrain what can be pushed to a repo. So I would guess that once everybody is on board with a new Git, you'll start to see allow only the following directories. So I think we'll get automated support for what you're asking for.
Okay, well, when that
Who cares?
happens, then I will be less. I will be more willing to do it. But as it stands right now, it seems kind of an arbitrary thing to do. Because like, especially with something like this where we don't have enough branches to justify organizing them into folders.
Yeah, I wasn't here for the last discussion on this, so my first blush opinion is, why add this complexity? We don't need it.
Yeah.
But
Like, I could understand if you had like a large project with like 30 people working on it, and you've got 30 branches at any given time.
Right.
Organizing those branches into folders makes sense.
And my primary argument for trying this is the crucible with which we are free to try ideas that we will eventually want to help our clients with.
I would love to know the intent of this feature that apparently was accidentally flipped on somewhere in the, deep intestines of Atlassian, and then flipped back off again. What was the intent of this? And if we can align with that intent, then sure. But I think we're trying to divine the intent.
What it pointed us to an external, like from the Git mothership.
It's a Git thing, not an Atlassian thing.
Yeah, like it pointed to their recommendations for Git naming. And so it was, I think they're just in general were like somehow exposed like this notion of like, yeah, we're going to provide tooling to help enforce some best practices that are promulgated by Git itself.
Yeah, but it was an option that was supposed to be something you could turn on.
Or opt into.
No,
Yeah.
I think the idea is that a certain version of Git, it becomes a default.
Okay, but like right now it isn't.
I have like a really high level, just like default trust of what the Git team does. So I'm really game to just roll with it.
So has Jack talked about his experience on a project with this sort of structure? Because I came in the room late after this. But
Oh, I didn't mention that. I mean, we do have a customer project where they have a requirement like this.
Yeah, how's it working out?
I mean, basically all it means is that our branch names have an extra word at the beginning.
Like, I mean, are there enough branches that it's helpful to have them like organized in a way, or they're few enough it's kind of arbitrary?
It's few enough that it's kind of arbitrary, and at least from my experience, there's really only one folder that they put things into.
Yeah. Well, if you have one folder, it's the same as having no folders.
Well,
right.
the story, yes and no. So there's one folder that anything that comes from an actual story, we're supposed to put it in there.
Are they doing Gitflow? Because
I-
Gitflow has like the naming.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But
Okay.
they also, and that's called features.
Yeah.
And then
That's
recently
Gitflow.
I was doing one based on a defect. So I created a folder called defects because why not?
I-
And so I don't know, I could see if we had a bunch of them, it would be reasonable. And it's not quite that everything gets into this one folder because there are other things, like develop and master and some other things don't end up getting in there.
Before we move on, could you click that Gitflow button briefly on the upper right? There's this spec called Gitflow, which someone wrote up, and it got retweeted a whole bunch.
Right next to remote, up a bit to the left.
Yeah, there's supposed to be
This
feature, bug fix,
Yeah, it's on the
patch,
screen now.
a couple of others.
Yeah, it's on the screen now. So this is it's a relatively popular way to do it. It's probably what the customer you're thinking of is doing. I'm going to take a wild guess. Of course, could be wrong. Totally making this up. But
Yeah, this is a very popular strategy.
yeah,
Like 90% of your things are going to be named feature because hopefully you don't have a whole lot of bug fixes, and then you'll have a smattering of releases.
yeah. So I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Gitflow. I don't really feel the need to adopt Gitflow, but I am game to just like use it in some other interesting way.
Well,
It's up to Paul. Let's decide and move on to the next.
Well, I'd say let's keep writing it for a while because the
Okay,
whole idea.
you
again
heard the
is-
man.
My primary reason for writing is not because I want that to be the future of this, but I want us to have had a little bit of cross-org experience, not just isolated and like, oh, because you worked for that client,
Yep.
you've been exposed to this.
Cool.
So,
Yeah.
as the creator of what is now PT Tweaks 4, did you
This
say
is
that
just,
this is
just
ready to go?
yeah,
or you
yeah.
haven't
It's
even
just
looked at the
rebased,
content?
squashed and rebased of your version 2.
Yeah.
And like as I get back to my computer, I'll work on the rigmarole of the actual merge into master. And,
I was just wondering if this has been approved and you're okay for it to go in. Okay, good.
Yep.
Well, I did have
Since
one
I'm teaching
thing.
next week, I was hoping it got in.
I don't
I
know
believe
where
it's
you
PT Tweaks too.
want to do this in this process, but I'd also like to see this run. So I know
Madness.
It's crazy.
Actually run the code? We merely prove it's correct. We don't run it.
It's all pseudocode.
Isn't that what our continuous integration setup is for?
What was that there, David?
Isn't that what our continuous integration setup is for?
Well, that'll prove it compiles, but Bill wants to actually see it run.
Well,
He's
Right.
that way.
I was being semi-sarcastic because I know that we don't necessarily run have like extensive end-to-end tests for all of our stuff.
Oh, on the contrary.
Yeah, the end-to-end testing situation is a lot better than the last time you might
Yeah.
have looked at it, David.
Oh, good, good.
Every single step has at least some kind of end-to-end testing. At bare minimum that it runs without error.
Right?
And in fact, in the near future, every step will have both Protractor and Cypress end-to-end
That will
testing
be a glorious day.
for
That
educational
would be
maximization.
very glorious. Yeah.
So yeah, no, our E2E game is very strong here.
So
And the
can
main
you
point here is
can you
get
close
back
out
to
the drawer at the bottom so we can see more of the console?
Oh, yeah, this drawer here.
All right,
I
so
wish
yeah,
it
we're
didn't do
cool. We're cool. Well, you got to know the new stuff happening in Chrome, Kyle.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
Every
they
6
update
weeks.
it so
Every time,
often
yeah.
that
Every time you open Chrome.
So yeah, 603 is the one that is the most actual code changes. Yeah, there's a renaming. So the fact that it initialized is like I changed I changed the init on positions. So the fact that
The data
current
load.
positions initialized, that improves it.
it would have come up totally empty and
Okay,
broken
good
if
to
they
see you.
didn't.
So it worked. Ship it.
All right.
Yeah, and then
Alright.
if you run the tests on 722, those tests should pass now.
All right.